Hi, everybody. I'm Markos Moulitsas, Daily Coast, here at the top of the hour. It's 9 p.m. Eastern, and it is election night coverage. Um, so, sort of the big theme right now is I want to talk about the red mirage. So, y'all want to go back to 2020 when we still thought Florida was the battleground state, and Florida came in early for Trump, and it was called early, and the mood was dark. And I remember Van Jones on CNN just basically saying like, "Oh, we lost this election," and the reality was that urban areas report, generally speaking, most of the states report later. It's not the first vote. The reason that rural areas count quickly is because they have like 500 votes to count. So it's what creates what is called the red mirage. So it seems kind of bleak at the beginning, right? So right now we see Florida is completely gone. I think it's a double-digit Trump lead. The last I saw, Trump, Florida's becoming in Alabama sort of a Republican vote sink. A lot of Republicans moving in, and a lot of shifts. So Florida's sort of kind of gone, and you have rural counties reporting quick first in Georgia and in North Carolina. So it sort of kind of creates a sense that they're losing. Now we have a lot of the early vote came in, the mail vote came in Pennsylvania, so Pennsylvania's actually looking pretty good, but Georgia and North Carolina right now don't look great, but that's because rural areas have not come in yet. So I just want everybody to keep that in mind, that there is a red mirage, and that's not to say that we're gonna win or lose. It's just to say that right now we don't know. So sort of general trends is in Georgia, we have a sense that Trump is overperforming rural counties between 0, keeping it even, and gaining up to 5 points. These are small counties, not a lot of votes, but there's a lot of these counties. So in the aggregate, it's real. So what do Democrats have to counter that? Because remember, Democrats won Georgia in 2020, and they only came 1 point from they only lost North Carolina by 1 point, right? So the question is, will Democrats make gains in suburban districts or suburban counties, and will they get the vote out in urban counties, in the big cities? Right now, we don't really know that. We do know in some states, we know in Wisconsin, we know in Detroit and Michigan, we know in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that the number of votes in those cities is near record levels. Philadelphia in particular is just like, it's off the charts. They're expecting at least 70% turnout in the city. For comparison, Detroit is hoping for record turnout, which would put it at 55%. So 70% is just absolutely massive. And a lot of the precincts that are overrepresented, over reporting are Puerto Rican heavy districts. So we're seeing that. But do we have a sense that that Democrats are doing better in suburban districts? So, for example, Fayette, Georgia. There's a lot of Fayette counties, Lafayette. Fayette County, Georgia, which is in the metro Atlanta region, was a 5 point. Let me just double check. Yeah, it was a 5 point Trump district in 52-47 in 2020, and right now he's winning it by 2. So that would be a 3 point shift, which sort of kind of matches what we're probably seeing in Hamilton County, Indiana, which we've been tracking all night. It seems to be about a 3 point shift to the left. And again, if Democrats manage that by itself, it should counter any shift in the rural districts, just because there's a lot more people living in the suburbs. And that's not even counting urban vote, which when that comes in, that's going to be big. So right now, I'm still bullish on Georgia. The data is a little bit mixed because of that rural overperformance by Trump, but I'm still pretty hopeful. North Carolina, I have no idea right now. In Pennsylvania, on the strength of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, I'm pretty bullish on. Philadelphia officials expect between 50 and 100,000 more votes this year than they did in 2020, and remember, that's a state that Biden only won by 80,000 votes. So there is a any kind of margin would be helpful, particularly if Trump starts overperforming rural districts in Pennsylvania. So that is sort of the top line of where we are. Um, One of the really interesting sort of dynamics is that both in Texas and Ohio, we have the Democratic candidates for Senate overperforming um, Kamala Harris in those states, which is absolutely critical. But because Trump is going to win Texas, Trump is going to win Ohio, so incumbent Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown in Ohio needs ticket splitters right now. And right now, he looks to be overperforming the Democratic candidate by about 3 to 4 points. So hopefully, Harris can keep it close at the top of the ticket because that's a tough race, and we cannot afford to lose that. Not just for the balance of power in the Senate, but Sherrod Brown is actually one of the best senators we have. So. That one's a little bit of a nail biter. And then Colin Allred in Texas, he's challenging Ted Cruz, which is probably the most odious Republican in the Senate. That's saying a lot because there's a lot of terrible Republicans in the Senate. And again, he's overperforming Harris by about 4 points. And the lead has been going back and forth between Allred and Cruz all night. It's a tough one. It would be an absolute shocker of a result if the Democrats can actually boot Ted Cruz. But as of now, Colin Allred is still in the game, which is a little bit surprising to me. And I don't want to hope. I don't want to get my hopes up, but that is an absolute. It's still within the realm of possibility. Um, in North Carolina, Mark Robinson, the Republican candidate for governor, lost. He was the self-described black Nazi, among other things. And so that was almost a foregone conclusion. One of the sort of really interesting questions is going to be, by tanking the top of the ticket, statewide ticket in North Carolina, did Mark Robinson hurt Donald Trump's chances at the top? So we'll find out soon enough. But there's absolutely massive numbers of voters in North Carolina that have voted for Donald Trump and also for the Democratic gubernatorial candidate Josh Stein. So ticket splitting can happen under certain circumstances. So that pretty much sort of wraps up this hour's update. We're still in the process of getting a handle on what's happening in the suburbs, what's happening in urban areas. Urban areas may take a little bit, maybe a few hours from now. Suburbs, we may have a better handle at in the coming hour. So next time I talk to you guys, which would be 10 o'clock East Coast time, I'll probably have more to say about that. So don't worry about the red mirage. I know it's stressful. I'm stressed. I'm gonna admit it. I'm stressed. But this is still early in the evening, and I'll try to remember 2020 when we all thought, oh crap, things started pretty poorly, and then things start flipping around 11, 12 midnight East Coast time. So we'll have a much better idea of where things stand in the next couple hours. So thank you so much. Catch you guys in an hour.